Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's THEWFIA.org, and become a member today. Welcome to another edition of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I'm Brian Ferguson. My guest today is a rising star on the independent pro wrestling circuit. He is part of the Men with Morals, considered by his fans and himself alike. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Burt Cameron. Burt, thanks for coming on today, man.
Thank you for having me, Brian. It's a pleasure. So I love talking, and this is just the perfect outlet to do it. So
yeah, no. I've invited you on. I've seen you a few times at Mid-States. I know you do other promotions as well. Yeah, hence your advertising, yeah. And, I've always liked what I've seen. And I'll tell you, Mid-States to me is producing such a great product, cards, wrestlers, if you will. I've been very impressed. I've been watching Mid-States for I'd say about a little over 2.5 years now, either in Harrison or here in Springfield, Missouri, and just absolutely love you guys. So kudos to you guys for the cards you put on. So, all right, I got to ask you the question.
All right.
Men with Morals. Tell me how that idea came about. What was brought on by this, and
I thought the question was, did Jay charge me full price for this T-shirt? And the answer is always yes, always.
Well, I would consider the Space Cowboy. He doesn't give discounts.
No, so you just be thankful he's providing the opportunity that you can buy one of his T-shirts, and
there you go.
It looks good on me, so I gotta wear it.
It does. It looks very good. Well, let's talk about your Men with Morals first. How'd you come up with that idea, and what kind of? I mean, it's a great concept. I mean, I absolutely love it. But kind of tell us a little bit how it came about.
It developed just kind of naturally. We were in training. I'd been training for, it was 3 months. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're ready. You're ready. You need to start thinking of stuff." And I was like, "Man, I don't feel ready yet. Like I'm still real new on this. Like we train under Niles Poinquet, so that's just shoots us to the top of. I mean, he pushes us and teaches us everything we need to know and makes sure that we're on our to it to the T." And we were sitting there, and I was like, "All right." There's a guy, Ernie Elwood, and I would hang out a lot. We trained a lot together. Started spending a lot of time together. We would go to shows. We caught a lot of Journey Pro shows as they were running, and worked our way into Mid-State stuff. And he came up with his name from his grandpa. So both sides of his grandfather's names were Ernie and Elwood, were their middle names, I guess. So I was sitting there, and I kind of laughed. I was like, "Man, like, you're picking your last name is the hometown I currently live in Kansas." And I was like, "What are the odds of that?" Like, I was like, first I thought he was taking a rib at me on it. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, I'll just kind of joke around. I'll make my last name your, hometown." So that's where Cameron came from.
Okay.
We were just hanging out, drinking one night, and one conversation led to another. And he's laughing. He goes, "Since I'm Ernie, you should be Burt." So Burt and Ernie concept just emerged. And at the time, we didn't have Men with Morals or anything like that, determined for what we were going to do. And it just worked. I know a girl who does a lot of design stuff, so she made us up a gimmick of the Sesame Street logo for Men with Morals once we figured out the name. And I mean, that one's a good story in itself. So we were at a show. I forgot my wallet at home. And yeah, what a great day. They were serving beer. They were serving beer, and I really wanted one, and I talked the bartender into. I was like, just let me have one. Like it'll help, like really get me into cheering on everything. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. Like it's for charity anyways. Like they'll cover it. Um, so I had my one beer, and I'm sitting there and really enjoying the show. And there's a girl that kept coming up to us. I had my hair down. She'd come over and compliment me and all this stuff. And I was like, man, I was like, I'm one beer in. Like, this girl's got to be 6, 7, 8 beers in. It's like, and she just kept coming at it with everything she had of just, oh, you should go with us and party afterwards. It's like, like I don't have my wallet. Like I'm not going to depend on somebody else to cover me on this stuff. I was like, I got to get home and work the next day. Like I had all the excuses, and I'm sure she thought it was just bullshit excuses of it. But I was like, no, this is legitimate. And I was like, plus, I was like, it's not that much fun with you chasing after me like this. And Ernie just kind of looked over at me and he goes, man, you do have morals. And it just kind of clicked. He goes, maybe we could be the men with morals. And when you think about it, I mean, it's something that wrestling misses, that there isn't, if, we want to be the over the top good guy of, we carry ourselves with morals, and, I always tell people I want to get back to winning wrestling matches the right way. So
did you ever wonder what could have been with the AWA had things gone differently? Had their fortunes gone differently? Had certain wrestlers not left and perhaps more money would have been at the disposal of the Gagnes? Well, wonder no further. You can go to Brad Drake's YouTube channel and experience the 1987 Supermod for yourself, as Brad Drake starts off in May 1987 along with Greg Gagne, Baron Von Raschke, Vern Gagne himself, Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko, Kurt Hennig, and a slew of others as he plays and saves the AWA.
Everybody wants to be the heel right now, and they think, oh, I'm, ever since Stone Cold Steve Austin, which, I mean, it was borderline, was he a heel? He was an anti-hero type deal that, he's taking down the establishment. But I was like, nobody goes out and says, I'm going to go be the face. Like, I want to be the face. I'm going to, do this the right way and try to win people over the old fashioned way. And it's something I wanted to do. I mean, I even pitched it that I was like, I'm willing to lose like my first 50 matches just to get people to care about me. Like, just let me get close, like tease it. Like, oh, this is going to be the time. And like, we're going to be there when Burt Cameron finally gets that victory. And then fortunately I've won a couple matches. So I think I started out, well, actually I started out 1-0. I won my tag match debut at Mid-State.
Well, there you go.
But that's all because of the headsman. So I've got to give all the credit to him on that one. And it was a fun time. But I made the joke with everybody when we got back to training. I was like, you guys ruined my whole gimmick. Like, I wanted to lose. I wanted to build sympathy. And I was like, here I am, undefeated. I was like, I'm on my way to being Goldberg. So I
1,000 matches.
I evened it out with I think 5 losses in a row after that. So
okay.
I did well. I got back on my path of what I was after. So
that's awesome. Well, that's a great story. Different, but it's interesting because you're right. Most today, not just the story behind it, but what you're talking about. Is very rare, I will. Well, and even your story is rare because 99% of most men that are single would have taken advantage of the opportunity that was presented to you, and you did not. So even if you had to work the next...
I was single at the time. I just, wasn't in the cards then of like, I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, man, this isn't, it's shooting fish in a barrel. And I mean, I've had those easy layups before. I like more of a challenge at this point. So,
well, that's good for you. I'm glad. That's an interesting story. All right, Burt, I want to rewind a little bit back to, let's talk about you growing up? Where'd you grow up at? Where'd you go to school? Were you involved in sports? Things like that.
So I bounced back and forth. My parents got divorced. My mom lives south side of St. Joe. Strong family ties to there, and it is its own community in there.
Mhm.
You got the population of St. Joe itself 75,000 plus, but you get into the south end, and it's truly its own little town.
Mhm.
Everybody's there. It's support the local high school. Take care of everybody around you. Yeah, there's some rough parts to it too, but for the most
Mhm.
part, you see like that small town community. And then thankfully I moved away from there in middle school. I moved over with my dad, and I'm from Wathena, Kansas. It's small town, real small town. I like to tell people that we were the largest graduating class in over a decade. They're like, oh yeah, and of course they're listing off, oh, we went to school with hundreds of people, like there's 200 plus in our class. And I was like, yeah, we were a large class, 40. And
Wow. Yeah. That's
you knew
small.
everybody and everybody knew you. So
Yeah.
of course, that opened up opportunities, play a lot of sports. Every sport that was provided for us, we played. It was football, basketball, track. I enjoyed track, I guess, the most. We'd make cookies and hang out, and yeah, I always said I was more of a field team guy because what I was really good at was throwing javelin. So
Okay.
that's just one of those rare things. I know a lot of more states now, are throwing javelin, but at the time I think there was only 10 or 15 states, and it was always fun. Like we'd have a meet where like schools from St. Joe would come over, and you'd get guys that are like, oh, I'm throwing javelin. I've never done it before. And it's like, it's just a stick. And it's, there's a little bit more to it than that. But so yeah, we had fun doing that. Football, we weren't that good. Buddy of mine that we're still friends this day. He's college football coach, Coach McQuillan. Great guy. Been friends with him ever since middle school. And I mean, we've been through thick and thin, ups and downs. Really, that bond that we made in high school of, kind of knew we were going to be friends for a long time. And I credit that to sports. And honestly, we weren't that good at sports. So we went 0-9 my senior year in high school in football. So that sucked. Couple close losses, but we had a lot of blowouts. I know we played Pleasant Ridge, which is out there around Leavenworth, and I want to say we lost to them 82-6 in 11-man football. So
yeah,
it was a tough ass whooping that we took on that one, but yeah, it's something that sticks with you, and I mean, it's helped me for wrestling stuff too, of like, win or lose. Yeah. It's fun to win, but at the same time, you can take something away from losing, and it doesn't ruin your day. So
there you go. Hello, everyone. This is Brian Ferguson, the host of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I want to tell you about a new podcast out called Fouls Count Anywhere. It is a classic pro wrestling podcast that brings you the legends of wrestling with true wrestling fans Chris DiCarlo and Charlie Turner. They bring on guests that are legends in this business, and as well as wrestlers of today, promoters, referees, you name it. They have them on there, folks. And I encourage you to listen to them. If you're on YouTube, watch them. They drop every Saturday. They have their podcast. They drop it in the afternoon. So look forward to that podcast coming out. Falls Count Anywhere podcast with Chris DiCarlo and Charlie Turner. Folks, you will not be disappointed. I guarantee it. And enjoy the podcast. Good attitude. I like it. That's great. Getting into the business. So kind of talk to us, Burt, if you would, how you got into the pro wrestling business. I mean, what drove you to that?
Yeah.
To do this.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan. So I can think back to, I mean, I was probably 4th or 5th grade, first time that I saw wrestling. Friends that I lived across the street from, their dad had it on, and I just remember the old WCW. I think it was Saturday nights where they would come through like it looked like a bank vault to me as a kid. Like it'd roll away and the smoke roll out. And the first person I remember seeing was Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the 2x4 and the flag, and I was like, "This is absurd. Like what's going on here?" Like it didn't make sense. Like all this is going on, and then this guy walks out with a 2x4. Like I'm confused, but I'm intrigued. Like what's happening here? And it just grew. And of course, that was in the prime of your Attitude Era, and I started watching him probably 94, 95, and then it starts taking off in 96. And like you might as well not shown up to school on Tuesday if you didn't watch Nitro or Raw on Monday night, because that's all everybody was talking about. So every kid trying to do the people's eyebrow. I had at one point in time I had the double mohawks because I wanted to be a Hawk from Legion of Doom, which is a weird one to think of, but yeah, just to be different. Like everybody wanted to be Austin. Yeah, I was just like, I just want to run around yelling, I guess. So so being a fan, I always thought about trying to do it. I debated on going in my early 20s down to St. Louis for Harley Races Academy stuff, and I just never pulled the trigger. I grew up raised by a family that's work mentality first. We own a bunch of rental property. They made sure that like I stayed in school and I did all that stuff, and then had a good job to go to. And I'm thankful for that, because I'm well off for what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And part of me wishes I would have taken that shot, but it wouldn't have been the same. Like I wouldn't be who I am today if I would have gone down there at the age of 24, and made those decisions. I just kind of shrugged it off. I played, rec sports and stuff, a lot of volleyball, a lot of basketball. And one day there's a girl that works with me that's like, I found out I got a brother. And I was like, okay. I was like, why are you telling me this? And she sends me a link, and it's Niles versus Kalisto at a SmackDown dark match. And I was like, we were there. Like you went with me to this, and we watched it, and we had a great time that night of partying with everybody down at Power and Light. And she goes, yeah, I found out this guy's my brother. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, that's awesome. I was like, when do I can meet him? Because I want to meet this guy since he's a wrestler. And it just turned into he trains people and everything else. And the perfect storm of everything. He's 20 minutes from my house. I was like, this is great. Like, let me start doing it. And I mean, a lot of guys that I've worked with have, credited me for that, for just having a mind for the business, I guess, that as always watching it, and kind of, I gather a lot from my sports and everything else I can take from that. I understand it's not about winning and losing. They go out there, and it is, but Gary Graham told me, he goes, I can go out there, I can lose a match, and you'll remember me more than you remember the winner. So who really won? It's a good point.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I was going to say, Niles, I have heard nothing but fantastic things about him as a trainer, a mentor in the business. And, it's great to hear that, because sometimes, and some people try to take advantage, but I've heard nothing but so much positive, and how he trains you the right way, and has you, think ahead about what you're going to do, and things like that. So I think that's such a great thing. And I hope it expands to other organizations, like they just don't cut you down and toss you out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just,
and that's, I credit everything to him of like, we had to sit there and pay attention, but if you're not presented with, we're presented with the highest quality of standards and training that probably anybody throughout the Midwest is going to give you. And, it's up to us to take that knowledge, and what do you do with it? Like it's a lot of him, but if you don't listen, it's not going to work. So there's a lot of people that have come through the doors and spent some time with us, and they walk away and they're like, yeah, I've been up there. I understand it now. And it's like, man, you came one night. Like you know, you read a page in the book, like we're up there eating dinner and talking over strategies of what makes sense of, you punch somebody, you see all these guys just throwing blows back and forth, and he goes, you watch him and he'll hit somebody and shake that hand, and it makes you question of, did he really hit him? Like, he hurt himself, which isn't something you see a lot because everybody wants to be tough. But if you want to make it look like, you're showing that you're really hurting somebody, you kind of got to hurt yourself in the process. So
yeah. No, it's great. I want to ask you this. So how long have you been in the business?
I'm coming up on my 1 year of matches in July.
Oh my gosh.
So I've had.
No, I'm doing that because that's, again, surprises me.
Yeah.
Because that tells me that Niles is doing his job.
He's doing the best, and no complaints from us of. That's what I know. My second match I ever had, I got done, and some guys in the back were sitting there talking, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like, so like you're on your like 4th or 5th year, right? I was like, oh God, no, like this was match number 2. I was like, it was my first singles match ever. Like, but I got to work heel. It was before I had the whole gimmick going. I had the name, but I didn't have the gimmick. My gear was actually delivered that day to my house as we were driving to the venue. And I was like, son of a, like, I had Craig's boots. I had his singlet. So I was Niles Jr. in a way, just I didn't quite have the character gimmicks of all of it.
No, your significant other, Judy, when I talked to her a while back, well, just a few months ago, actually, I couldn't believe it when she told me, this was, I think, April.
Yeah.
And she said, it'll be a year. And man, I just was like,
I was saying,
do you ever wonder what would happen if
you give a dad a podcast?
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's just settle this debate right here, right now. It's not even just the greatest PlayStation game. It's the greatest game ever.
Not to toot my own horn, but
exactly.
Yeah, I remember he kicked me so hard I thought I owed him money.
I love it. I'm excited for this one.
He goes, what is your name? And I was like, it's Thrash.
I'm getting punched in the face on the daily.
Man, this guy won't shut up.
I wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah, I got knocked out cold in that match. It was awesome. So awesome.
We make dogs sing.
Do you always do these interviews with your shirt off?
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
So now we've been filming for the last 6 months.
I panicked.
Followed by.
Bro.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Really?
I think I started training, it was a month or 2 before her, of when she showed up. And I mean, she's just pure athlete. There's times that
obviously you are too, because
no. I'm smoking mirrors. So
I gotta tell you, whatever Craig's doing, I mean, I haven't been to your sessions, your workout sessions or your training sessions, but obviously he and his assistant trainers or whatever their titles are, they're doing a fantastic job, and kudos to him and to all you guys. I mean, I know it's hard work. I know it's hard work. I mean, you're taking bumps and let's talk about that. You guys, when let's talk about your first night. Okay, you show up to Craig's training. What?
I actually had to back out.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I backed out. I had a tryout. I had a tryout set up with him.
Okay.
And I broke my big toe like 2 weeks before I was going to go up there and try out. And I was like, oh man, and this was a couple years. It took about a year for it to get to the point where I was ready to go. Because I broke I broke it and I was like, man, this is like the week before. I could barely walk. Some of my friends were giving me a hard time about it. They're like, you get into wrestling and, you're going to get hurt. Like, it's just part of it. You're going to, and these aren't even people that are wrestlers. They were just, because at the time I didn't really know any. And they're just like, don't chicken out of this. Go do it. And I was like, if I can't walk, I'm not going to pass a tryout. So why would I go try out, get told I'm not going to be able to do it, and then like just ruin every thought, hope, and dream of it? So, which that led into something great for me anyways, because that turned into, while I was at the gym, a girl that I know owns a club volleyball team, and she asked me to be a coach for her, and I ended up coaching middle school girls volleyball, which sounds terrible, but it's probably one of the best group of girls that I've ever been around for, like, coaching wise. That
oh wow, that's great.
They all got along, like attitudes were, positive towards the whole thing. We played up, I think 2 years. They were 13 and we were playing 14, 15-year-olds.
Okay.
But they taught me how to, like, just to have fun. So they tried to teach me dance moves. I think I learned how to do the gritty, which paid off in a wrestling match. So there. But that year helped me really kind of develop a lot of character stuff that maybe I'd lost over the years of, they wanted me to come back and be their head coach. And I was like, I got this wrestling tryout. I'm going to see how it goes. And they're like, okay, well, you become big and famous. Like, don't forget about us. And of course, like, I start traveling and doing other stuff. And they're like, oh, you're going everywhere. I was like, yeah, like, close. Like, we're going to little towns. It's starting to pick up and a lot of bigger doors are starting to open, but we're having a blast. And so I try out. I think I'm like, I know I'm not in the best of shape anymore. I'll be 36 this year. So,
hey, young.
That's why I keep hearing that, but it also doing this. I know I don't have all the years and the wear and tear on me, but the mentality is, I know I've got a short window. So I got a very small window to do what I want to do. I'm having fun, and going out and giving everything that I've got. And that's what everybody should be doing if you're going out and doing this. Like, it's, we choose to do it. At that time, been working out for two years, probably solid 5-6 days a week.
Oh, wow.
I trimmed down. I was 280 when I started working out, and I got down to lowest was 212.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That was when they let me have a light heavyweight title match. So that's paid off for me, but now I'm starting to bulk back up, and we'll twist it as a dyslexic character that weighs 240 and swears he weighs 204. So
all right, Burt, let's move. You've been in the business about a year. I know you work for Mid-States, New Breed. I saw you.
I work for New Breed yet.
I'm sorry. Okay, correction.
I keep showing up to their shows. They're going to get me on some stuff, though. We're in talks of doing some work with them. So
SICW?
SICW
in St. Louis?
We went out to the St. Louis show because we see Herb all the time, and it just, a lot of times it's just trying to work it in the schedule of.
Okay. I remember seeing you up there with the Fan Fest.
Yes, the Fan Fest, we went up. I guess, I did get a wrestle for him. I was in the Battle Royal.
See?
So that counts. That
counts.
It was a brief stint. I got to eliminate Dred Roberts. So there was no way. I mean, he rode out there with me. There was no way he was going to eliminate me and get a ride back home. So, that was a time. Because I was in there. I was like, man, I've done pretty well. Like, we've been in here a little while now, and they just announced Brandon Beretta and the Top Gun's coming in, and they got a good little pop, and he started working on me in the corner. I was like, throw me out. Like, just get me out of here. And he's like, really? you sure about that? And I was like, man, they're popping for you right now. They're happy to see you. They're going to be real happy to see you throw somebody over the top. Like, and I was like, I got to go back and change. Like, it's a win for me. It's a win for you. Like, let's keep this going. And yeah, I felt good about it.
Yeah.
I joke with him now. Every time I see him, I was like, we could start something now. Like, I owe you some ass kickings for throwing me out of that. But
yeah, no, I'm just so surprised that you're at a year. I can't even. All right, so who is somebody you've worked with that you just chemistry wise, either as an opponent, tag team partner, that you guys just you're on all cylinders during the match?
Donovan Era is one of them. He's one of the guys that I started working early. We've worked some matches up in Minnesota, and it clicks. Like we're around the same size. He's such a great technical wrestler. He can lock you up into stuff that he'll work heel up there on me, and he'll get me locked up into something, and people, they care, they're starting to care out there in Minnesota, and they're like, all right, let's go. Like, I know mid-states, they'd be really behind it. Of once I got free and I got out, I'm Jay's House of Fire is what he likes to call me. So try to get those fire ups, and I can't quite hit that cylinder that Colton's found, but I'm working my way there.
Hey everyone, this is Brian Ferguson, the host of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I want to talk to you today about my friends over at Superfriends Signatures. These guys have all kinds of wrestling products, past and present. They sell action figures, autographed pictures, you name it, they have it. My friends David Harrow and Brian Koenig, they are the real deal. Go to their website today, superfriendssignatures.com, or go to their Facebook page, Superfriends Signatures. Check them out, folks. You will not regret it. They have great prices and great deals on all kinds of products. And every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, they have an auction online at their Facebook page. So please check it out, Superfriends Signatures today, and enjoy the podcast. You guys, you, Colton, let's see, TV, Austin.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are just, and I just had an interview with Austin a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Same thing. You guys are all, he went to Harley, but still same kind of concept. As guys are all on fire.
Well, he's putting in matches. Like, that dude is, like you said, we're coming up on his 100th match once we're in Wichita coming up this week. And it's like, man, like, you've doubled up. I know he runs another character, so there's times where he gets, he doubles down on those nights.
Yeah.
So props to him on that. But you've got to put the time in, and he's got that opportunity, and he's taking full advantage of it, and he's going to be really, really good. So, like, he might even borderline greatness, but I can't tell him that. So
until he watches this, right?
He'll watch it. Well, I'll always remind him. We went down to Nixa for the New Breed show that they did, and I was standing there talking to him because he's like, come down, like, which I planned on it anyways. I had the weekend free. I was like, let's, see what happens. If I get booked, I get booked. If not, worst case scenario, I'm watching wrestling. Like, that's not a bad day. And then to top it off, it was at a carnival, so I had funnel cake. It was a great time. We were standing there before the show, and a lady looks over at me and she goes, "Are you a wrestler?" And I was like, it's like, I might be. Like, why would you say that? She goes, well, you look like a wrestler, and that guy in the suit looks like he could be your manager. So I said,
it was Austin, wasn't it?
It was Austin. Yeah. Just to the tease of, he's looking great, but at the same time, it's like, hey, Austin, like, she thinks you should be my manager. He's like, oh man, like, no, like, I'm a wrestler. This is what I do. I was like, you look like my manager, man. Like, you gotta get some great.
That's great. That's wonderful.
I'm
all
sure
right, so
box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It would be a great match.
Yeah, it'll
I
be
know
fun.
it would be. Yeah. So title wise, have you had an opportunity to wrestle for any yet? Or are you still kind of?
Yeah, I'm still the TAPW light heavyweight champion. So
Okay.
that
That's
is
what I was at. Yeah.
based out of Junction City. They just announced a show today for July 8th. So I will be there on that. I don't know who I'm wrestling yet. I know I'll be in it. So, it's going to be a fun time. Really, I've got my eye on Duke Cornell and that Tiger weight title that he's got for him, but I came up short. So came up short the last time that I wrestled him. I don't think anybody could have handled me with 2 championships at one time. So,
well, let's talk about that. You got Burt, you got some events coming up here, so let's talk about that. So let's talk about your upcoming bookings, if you will.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I made a fun little graphic of kind of ripped off an idea that I gave to a buddy of mine that's a football coach. He runs a program where he does football camps for high school kids to get them into colleges throughout the country. And every time that he adds a new state to wherever they do camps, he adds it to his logo, in which was one of my ideas, because I've always liked the state outlines. I was like, they're unique, they're cool. Even though I live in Kansas, it's a rectangle with a little bit of a squiggly line. It's still pretty cool. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. I was like, I got 5 different states I'm wrestling in this month. I was like, so we're going to be busy. And we're starting off June 2nd. We go to Wichita for mid-states. Big show for the Special Olympics. Crowning a Kansas heavyweight champion. So that'll be fun. Hopefully I'm in the mix on that. I haven't heard anything. I don't know where I'm at on the card. I show up. I say I show up, I shut up, and I do my job, but I talk a lot. And it's helping me, I think, with Jay. He at least gets my jokes most of the time. So we do that. Judy is booked at Core on the 9th, and they let me tag along on it because they'll find something for me down there. I know we've talked about it yet again. Don't know what I'm doing. Don't have any big headlining match. It's just probably get thrown in a battle royal or something. I'll put on some face paint and go out and have some fun. It's a different character down there. So
there you go. Yeah. Got to play different characters.
Yeah. Got to switch it up every once in a while of just, test the waters and see, what else you can do and just have fun with it. And then, the day after that, she'll leave for Minnesota. She's going to fly up to Minnesota to wrestle for Steel Domain. We go up there quite a bit. I've got JJ show for Mid-States in Harrison for the 21st anniversary. So that's a quick little drive. And then the 17th of June, I'll return to Steel Domain for the first time since last fall. And I'm excited about that one. It's a great organization that they run up there. A lot of fan support, a lot of white t-shirts running around with that Blue Street sign on them. And I'm sure the pink ones will go over well for them too. And then the 24th, we're back in Springfield. So,
all right. And I'm going to that. And I am so looking forward to seeing you guys. It's, I'm telling you, if you're listening to this or watching this, guy, or ladies and gentlemen, Mid-States Independent Pro Wrestling is to me like just as good to me right now during this period, or even better than the considered top tiers, the WWEs, the AEWs, the Impact. To me, because one, you guys are working so hard to get to that next level, and it shows. Two, you don't charge an arm and a leg to get in, and your merchandise is reasonably priced. And finally, 3, just the overall quality of the product to me is, you're not sitting talking in the ring for 15 minutes. And then have a 5-minute match. And then the same thing. It's just like a cycle. is so refreshing, you know. And when we come into your guys's for Mid States, I don't mean to take over here a little bit, but I'm telling you, you guys are so friendly, user friendly. You don't push your merch. You don't, you know, if I want to take a picture with Men with Morals, Burt Cameron, he's not going to say, well, that's $10.
No.
Burt Cameron's going to take a picture with you at an event, no charge. And his merch is right there. And when you just say, hey, you talk to me for 5 minutes, I'm probably going to look at your merchandise and say, you know what? You got some cool stuff here. I'm going to buy one of those T-shirts. Or I'm going to buy that picture of you or whatever product you probably got there because you're not pushing it on me or my kids or my grandkids or whatever. That is the refreshing part of it for me.
Yeah. I was saying, it's borderline for me of like, you know, if somebody wants to buy your stuff, they'll buy your stuff. Like I put a lot of, you know, thought and just precision into my logo and everything that we've got going on. I keep trying to find new ways that are a little bit different. I've got keychains now that are pretty cool.
That's
so
cool.
they're little 1-inch keychains. So they're kind of perfect where they don't get in the way. But the logo was just that perfect little, like, hey, it's Sesame Street, you know, kind of mixed in there with it. And, you know, it looks good on a keychain. And I should have bought bigger magnets, but I ended up with 1-inch magnets. I give those out to kids all day. Like, I think they cost me $0.25 per magnet. So I'm like, this isn't a loss. Like, I usually make a joke about them. I was like, if you get good grades, it's like, I can give you a magnet to hang your, you know, they don't get their report cards on their fridge anymore, but I was like, it's
all online now.
It's all online, and like they look at me, they're like, we don't know what this guy's talking about, and their parents get it. And I was like, but it can only hold up 1 sheet of paper. It's a real thin magnet, like you know, only the best right here. And so yeah, just trying to find things like that. It's always fun. I've gotten some pretty good deals. I guess if you order enough T-shirts, the place that I get my shirts through, the girl threw in a big stack of stickers, so I don't mind giving those away sometimes. I do pretty well on my merch that, you know, little stuff like that, it goes a long ways of, you know, throw in something free when somebody, there's nights where I've sold 10 T-shirts, which is impressive. Of, you know, Lincoln, Nebraska, there's a lot of Men with Morals fans up there, which is impressive because I was a heel that night, but I guess they
you know, they got to balance it out. They know deep down you're a good guy.
Yeah, they lost their own spring game up there in Nebraska that day, so I reminded them of that. And
got to throw in those little jabs. Yeah, that's good. That's great.
It was.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight, folks. I'm going to tell you one more time. Burt Cameron, I'll have his social media platforms on the description below. He'll have his dates, I'm sure, on his social media platforms, upcoming dates. You heard it here. Go out and support these guys. These guys are busting their hind ends, men and women. His significant other is a fantastic female wrestler. I believe she's women's champion in where's she?
MWA. So
MWA,
yep, out of Lincoln and Omaha. They run up there, and she's
Judy Azul. She's like I said, they haven't even been in a little over a year.
A little over a year.
And that's great. I mean, that just tells you.
It's a lot of the credit of like you were saying, of Mid States, you know, if you look at that card and you look, you know, everybody's in there and everybody wants to go out and do their best, but you know, they want to see you succeed just so they can say, hey, you had a good match, but I had a great match. So everybody wins at that point. You know, the fans are leaving happy every night. You know, I guess, I mean, really the only person to hate on in that whole thing is Stephen E. So
my man, Stephen E.
So he was actually the one that pitched me the pink shirts idea. And I was like, man, Steven, I got a lot of white shirts I need to sell first before. And
I will tell you, if you watch the podcast I had him on back in December, he has your T-shirt on.
Yes. I took a screenshot of it. I was scrolling through, and I try to post anytime somebody sends me a picture of them wearing the Men with Morals shirt. I spread the word about it, of letting people know it's out there.
So that could be a double-edged sword. It could say, okay, he's got a little morals, but then Stephen is he trying to recruit you into his stable?
No, he's just trying to lie to people. That's the beauty of that shirt, is that, you know, there's a lot of people, my best friend, his wife, and then they had 2 of their friends with them, and they have probably 3 or 4 kids total that were running around with them, all in Men with Moral shirts, the white ones, just running around. And like, he's sitting there and he goes, I bet these people think we're like some like church group or something that came into a bar with kids. They're like, they've got to be confused right now. Like, no, it's pro wrestling, everybody. Like, and then once you tell them that, they're like, damn, I'm getting tricked into talking about wrestling now. But hey, you know, we're trying to find our fans, get them back any way we can. And you know,
you guys are doing great.
That conversation, that's, you know.
And I'm going to get one at the next Springfield show in June 24th there. I'm buying one.
All right. Sounds good.
And so one more time, ladies and gentlemen, Men with Morals, Burt Cameron. If you see him on the marquee or on the poster or on the social media for an event, go out and see it. It's not that much, $10, $15. You're going to have a couple hours of your time. It's going to be time well spent. So, Burt, thanks for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Folks, if you're watching, thank you. If you're listening, thank you. And if you haven't, please subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.